build railroads that existed in the mid-1800s, featuring cities Richmond to New Orleans, from Savannah to Memphis, in Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio. Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio is a bidding route building game for 3 to 5 players. It takes about an hour to play. This was originally published by Winsome Games about 10 years ago, and now Rio Grande Games is bringing it to us, and they sent us this copy to review. You'll set up the main game area with the board cubes placed in the spots and other items as well. 8 railroads are available at the beginning of the game. And players will start with some money as well. Here is a quick overview of the game. Players are going to be bidding on railroad shares, expanding railroad lines on the board, trying to get victory points. They can do that based on the cubes that are placed on the board and whether railroad lines that they get are chartered. The first player of the game must do the charter a railroad action and must choose South Carolina up for bid. Players will go around and bid, and if you pass during a bid, you cannot re-enter. If the bid reaches at least $9 for South Carolina, then whoever wins the bid gains that share. The money that won the bid goes directly on the share. They then take cubes from the most available on the track at the top of the board. One goes on the share to show the color for that railroad, and then immediately start building the railroad. It costs $3 per track cube, so with $9 you can build 3 tracks connecting to another city. If there was any extra money, like say you won it for $10, then that extra dollar would just go to the bank. You get a point for each city a cube is placed in, points for each new cube color that has not been connected to previously, I'll explain that in just a second, and a point if the railroad was just chartered, like we did for South Carolina. Certain chartered companies even give an extra point, and a cube in Atlanta is worth 2 points instead of just 1. So back to the points for different colored cubes. If I build a railroad here and there are green and red cubes in the cities, then I'll be getting 2 points for this. A point for connecting to a green railroad and a point connecting to a red one. As you can see, multiple colors can be in the cities, but only 1 cube per space in these areas. Also, if 2 different shares have the same cube color, they're not allowed to be in the same city or even connect in any way. They are 2 different railroads after all. Instead of chartering a railroad, you could do what's called a presidential expansion, which is basically paying your own money to expand a railroad on the board by placing cubes on it based on the cubes. Now there are also common shares that you can auction off once it's been chartered. You can put up one for bid as your turn if you want, and the winner can expand that road but must use the color indicated on the chartered share. The person who owns the chartered share flips their card around. This is for paying out dividends, which I'll explain in a second. You can also move the common stock sale marker to the next space. Once it reaches the 2 space, you'll be paying out dividends. $5 for every chartered railroad that doesn't have the common share sold yet, and then $3 for every other share, whether common or chartered. Then move the token back to the beginning. New railroads become available for bidding if a cube is placed on that city. The game ends if at least 1 cube of every color cube are on the board, or if every player passes. Then the game ends immediately, and whoever has the most points wins. This game takes about an hour to play, but it flies by because all you're doing is bidding and building those railroads on the board. And all of a sudden, you see the game could almost be over if someone uses the purple cubes. But I really like this about the game. There is this step-by-step progression. You can sort of see how things are going based on those cubes. Someone could purchase a common share and start depleting more of a certain color. This really matters as you are jockeying for position to get different cities, and these gray ones no one can build on. There's not a lot of ways of getting points in this game, so connecting to cities and to different colors is key. I remember one game I blew a lot of money on one bid just to build build like 7 cubes to get to Atlanta, which really only gives you 1 extra point. I don't know if that was the best strategy for my game. Oops. The money is paper and it works fine, but if you have chips, you could use those in place of paper money. I like how the bidding works. It's pretty straightforward, and it's really up to you whether you want to be in it or not, and even what is being bid on or what is being up for bid matters, whether it's a chartered share or a common share. I personally like to push the common shares. It's just really nice to get those dividends when those common shares come up. It's a little finicky placing all the cubes out on the board at the beginning of the game. I wish there was a better mechanism for that, but it does help visually as you see which ones are lower or higher than the others. There is a handy player aid, which is nice, especially for new players. But once you understand the basic mechanics, it's pretty simple. Bid and build. And I would say overall, this game is focused on simplicity of components, cubes, tokens, and even the board. And because of this, I think you can get this game for like $35 or under, which I think is a really good deal. Another thing that's cool about this game is that South Carolina is on the map. There's got this card, which is cool because that's where Melissa and I live. There's even Greenville, the city, and it's only about 10 minutes away from us, so I really like that in this game. And another cool thing is that this is just the first of some new train games coming from Rio Grande Games. So look forward to those and check out Golf, Mobile, and Ohio from Rio Grande Games. And as always, we would love for you to subscribe to Tantrum House and hit that like button for this video.